Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we are ranking the possible returns of the Loyal Primarchs after the expected return of Fulgrim. Has the return of the Pheonician changed the way I'm thinking? There's no real need for a spoiler warning today, but just keep in mind we will be mentioning events from across the Warhammer 40k universe. And so, with that said, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Okay, so last time out we discussed the possible returns of the Traitor Primarchs in the aftermath of a Fulgrim return. If indeed it does happen at the end of this edition, as we're currently expecting. And overall I still think it leaves Lorgar as the most likely and suited Traitor Primarch to return to this current galaxy. Fulgrim returning may bump the return of another fallen brother back a few more years, unless GW does something completely astounding, but it's simply inescapable. Lorgar just fits this current narrative perfectly. I've been beginning to feel an Omegon revelation and tease could be on the cards at some point soon too, but that's surely got to come after his fight with Guilliman during the Scouring series, where we'll see for sure if he's alive or dead. Now, as for today and the Loyalists, it's a bit harder to predict. There's not one who fits it all like a glove. El Johnson's return was set up and expected for years. The others aren't all quite as clear-cut. We don't have one slumbering fully healed beneath the rock, for example. However, the return of another Traitor Primarch has definitely swayed my way of thinking a little bit. And I will say I really can't see another Loyalist returning alongside Fulgrim, as we had with Angron and then El Johnson. It just feels too quick. We haven't even had El Johnson reunited with Guilliman yet, seen his impact on the real Imperium. Another Primarch on top of that would be crazy. But regardless, it's undoubtable now. With the return of El Johnson, I definitely think all the Loyalists will return at some point. Well, the ones alive at least. When it was just Guilliman, part of me still thought it could remain just him. That more Loyalists would make the Imperium almost too powerful. However, I think it's just got to happen now. You can't bring back two and not the rest. But hey, time will tell. As for my rankings of who, well, yes, there's definitely been a little change of late. And so kicking it off in 5th, as the least likely Loyal Primarch to return, I have Rogal Dawn. Now, at the start of this edition, I was beginning to get the feeling that we could see some movement on Rogal's part. Of all the Loyalists, his fate has always been the most mysterious, disappearing aboard a Chaos vessel, with only his hand remaining to be found. But to me, Rogal's always felt an extremely popular Primarch. The Sons of Dawn seem to have a strong following within the fanbase. Something you'd expect to play in his favour for a potential return. And the Siege of Terror over the recent years has only furthered that tenfold, showcasing Rogal at his absolute best. And then we received High Marshal Helbrecht's novel, where he not only witnessed the vision of Rogal Dawn, but then went on a personal quest for a piece of his armour. And I just couldn't help feeling this could be the subtle steps beginning to be taken. Breadcrumb mentions of Rogal that'll take place over the following years that we'll be able to look back on and see the hints of. And hey, still that could be true. However, right now, it's just gone stone cold. And so quite simply, it's hard to place Rogal any higher right now. You could look to his confrontation with Fulgrim at the siege, but that doesn't really mean anything within the current setting. El Johnson had no particular connection to Angron, yet returned to give him a beatdown during the Arcs of Omen campaign. So I wouldn't look for too much connection within their Heresy era past. If we get another mention of Rogel, he'll fly back up in my rankings, no doubt, probably confirming my original thoughts. But for now, until we get that, he's got to stay here. Hopefully we'll get some more standalone Space Marine stories soon for those kind of teasers, like the Space Marine Conquest books for example. It would be great to get some more first founding or successor chapter action. However, moving on, in fourth I have the Raven Lord Corax. Now if this was an ease of return ranking, Corax would have to be number 1, or at the very least number 2. We've literally seen the guy after the heresy, hunting Lorgar within the Eye of Terror. Considering the eruption of the Great Rift, it's more a question of why haven't we seen him again already? Most of the traitor brothers he's hunting are active across the galaxy. They're not even in the Eye of Terror anymore. Corax should be out there somewhere. And I don't think he's as tied to Lorgar as the perception seems to be. He's hunting all of the traitor Primarchs. He'll go after any of them if he catches wind or trace. I think it's highly possible a tease or sighting or two of Corax could be found within Imperium Nihilus. A mysterious figure hunting the forces of chaos. Or maybe even a name drop by a traitor Primarch of Corax having been a thorn in their side. What a great way that would be for Gilliman or L. Johnson to begin to think their brother might be alive. Again, there's really no reason Corax can't return, except his own personal choice, most likely unaware of the damage befallen the Imperium. And with that in mind, why fourth? Well, I just feel other brothers are perhaps more likely right now. As much as Corax is out there, I don't think anything's particularly changed. No movement for him personally either way. And if popularity does play a factor, as much as I personally love Corax and the Raven Guard, and feel he is hugely overlooked at times, I don't think the Raven Guard are quite as popular as some of the other options. So for me, right now, Corax lands in fourth. On to the third most likely Primarch to return. I have Jagatai Khan. Now this is a big move for me, because as much as I absolutely love Jagatai, and have raved about him and his legion over the years, I just couldn't see him returning previously. I still feel Jagatai and the White Scars are a largely unknown element. That they have a passionate cult following, like me unashamedly, but not so much outside of that. And so I've just felt there were far more likely options over the years, despite how easy a Jagatai return could be. And well, though technically nothing's really changed in that regard over the recent months, I have just found myself feeling Jagatai is more likely, simply because of his location, the Webway. The Webway feels like it's going to be a big factor moving forward still, for as long as Abaddon and Vashtor are cruising about on their sub-realm jumping planet Wormwood. And I'm still expecting to see an Eldari war against this within the Webway, which should surely be a major event. And so, well, with Jagatai being within the Webway, in my opinion still imprisoned within the same repeating moment over and over again against the Drukhari, it simply makes the Kargan's return one of the most realistic. That Vashtor could cause damage to the part of the Webway Jagatai's trapped in, freeing him, seeing him make an appearance within this war. Who knows, but by proximity alone, Jagatai has moved up in my current rankings of possibility. His previous jibes and animosity with Fulgrim adds a nice little bit of spice too. Now on to second. I have Leman Russ. I think I probably talked myself into Russ becoming more likely with every passing week. Wishful thinking on my part, I know. And I don't want some old haggard Russ that I know some of you want, missing an eye and looking like an Odin or something. I want the primal, fierce Leman Russ of old. The Primarch who was the Emperor's executioner, returning to fulfill his duty. And I think that's what we'd get. He's been in the warp, within the eye. He shouldn't age when none of the traitor legionaries have. The only reason L. Johnson's old is because he was slumbering within the rock. But hey, I digress. For me, the more we move closer to the Starchild narrative, the more Russ's involvement in some capacity becomes likely. He left on a quest for his father, somehow linked with Valdor, and it was rumoured to be to try and heal him. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it certainly makes it feel like Leman Russ could be involved. At least to me. We are in the Wolf time, the final war for the galaxy's survival. I don't buy that he can't return yet. This is the war the Emperor was waiting for. This is the one where humanity wins, or dies for good. Russ can and will return for it. While he has no particular ties with Fulgrim, I do think having a fairly straightforward fighter Primarch works in the Imperium's favour. It'd give the Imperium a bit of punch against yet another traitor Primarch, without rocking the leadership of the Imperium boat, as say a Rogel return might. So for me, at the end of the day, it simply boils down to Russ's quest, Valdor, and how I feel we could see some more revelation soon. And by that I mean over the next few years. So basically, that makes Russ one of the more plausible for me. However, finally, at number 1, the Loyal Primarch I currently have as my most likely to return next, Vulcan. This admittedly could well be me being prisoner of the moment, having recently read Vulcan's return in the Beast Arises series, not to mention his absolute badassery during the Siege of Terror. But he's the one Primarch we know is already out there in the Imperium somewhere, being the perpetual that he is. He's probably on Caldera or some other backwater world, defending the people, waiting for the call to join the war at large again. And we know he will return for this war, as he says it directly in the Beast Arises series, that he'd never turn from his duty to his father, and that there's a future war he needs to return for. Well, that's this one, and I can easily see Vulcan coming back now. He'd accept Guilliman's command without issue. I doubt would have much issue with L. Johnson either. Is the formidable warrior the Imperium needs, able to go toe-to-toe with the Demon Primarchs, and would be the sounding board and voice of reason the other loyal brothers needed. He also has a particular hatred for what Fulgrim and the Emperor's children became, having been disgusted by the atrocities they committed on the people of Terra during the siege. So if you want a particular Primarch to go up against Fulgrim and the Emperor's children, yes, Guilliman may be the most logical option, having been killed by him and all, but Vulcan would absolutely fit the bill too, and give us a duel and battle we've never seen before, much like Angron and L. Johnson. So for me, Vulcan just fits the bill. He's stated he'll return to the war when his father needs him. We know he's got to be in the Imperium somewhere, most likely Imperium Nihilus, where the action is going to be taking place very soon. And he even has a bit of a vendetta to pursue against the Emperor's children. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm starting my Salamander's army for it right now. Vulcan just fits. if there's another loyalist coming back after Fulgrim, at this moment in time, it is the Lord of Drakes who is my #1 expectation. But as always everyone, what do you think? What are your rankings for the Loyal Primarch returns? Will the possible return of Fulgrim change your opinion in any way? Who do you feel is the most likely loyalist to return next? Or even, will we get one? Could the returns of the Primarchs simply end with 2? Rabute Gilliman and Lion L. Johnson. As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.